Hey guys, this is Daniel Dr. D. Sorry about the hoodie. Our heater is having an issue this morning, so that's the reason for it. It's kind of chilly. So anyway, for those of you who've been following this, this is the final chapter in the Klipsch Otis endeavor, and I think the uh, goal has been achieved in spades. The whole idea was to open up that upper mid-range, and I think that'll be evident in the videos that follow. I had to reshoot some of this video because of some issues with downloads, and regardless, I'm just going to follow through with everything that I went through. I want to give a real big shout out to Morris Emmerich at Shinjitsu Audio, because without his guidance, I don't think any of this could have been achieved to the degree that was done. And what a nice guy. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who devoted time. We must have had about 30 or 40 email exchanges. We spoke on the phone a few times. He gave me a lot of information. I learned some things that I never even knew about. I'm going to link to some of those videos that Morris does. He does these 5 to 10 minute tutorials, and he explains things about beaming. He even shows some videos on how light is related to sound waves with horns versus tweeters. And really, if you're into jazz, I think horns are really where it's at. They just have this palpable presence in the upper mid-range. It's really beautiful. And I really love this outcome. And this is just the beginning. There's actually more things in the makes that I'll discuss at a later time. But Bob and I have been experimenting with different super tweeters, super tweeter horns, things like that. We're going to do a separate video on that. I got to update you on Bob's setup at the studio, and it's been a really fun endeavor, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'm going to walk you through it. There are some videos at the end. There are several that will compare these speakers that I have done here, and there may be some vibrations in those videos because my wife's got these room ornaments, and it's kind of a pain just taking all this stuff down. So I apologize for that. I know it's not these speakers put a lot of bass now, as well as the forte, and some of the video demos, you may hear some of that. So please enjoy the videos. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, so here you can see this gray foam around the outer circle of the woofer. I just put in some new material here. On the interior side, you can see that half of the internal volume of the cabinet is occupied or blocked off by this piece of yellow foam. So I'm going to show you what I did to change all that. And I really think it really helped with the bass and opening everything up and getting this speaker to breathe a little better than what it was. Now, I acquired a Beyma, which is called the 12BR70, and it is a 12-inch woofer. But the unique thing about this is the ability of it to go to higher frequency than what the K24 does. I think the K24 doesn't reaches up to something. I've heard mixed reviews, something like 700 hertz it goes up to. I've heard that it goes up to 2,000. I'm not really sure. It was very difficult to get good information on it. These are the clips for the speaker terminals where the wires connect to, and they're a little bit wider, so I couldn't use the Kreitz crossover cables. I had to make some new cables. I'll show you those in a minute. But the interesting thing about this is if you look at the K24 here, it moves up and down very easily, whereas the Beyma is extremely stiff by comparison. It rebounds with immediately, with the speed, So that is one of the reasons I think the K24 wasn't doing very good in an open port, because theoretically what happens is that you lose bass when you close or seal the cabinet, but you get more attack. You get quicker, speedier attack. Now I pulled up some of the stats here on the Beyma for you guys, for those interested in seeing some of the technical information about it. And it's a very reasonably priced woofer. When you look at it, it's made in Spain, roughly a little over $150.
some of the tech specs here. This is like an open baffle type of woofer, mid-range kind of woofer, but it does some astonishing things. You have to remember too, I didn't acquire this woofer to get bottom end, but I had an added treat of that at the end, which you'll see as we go along. This here is just the cables I had to make. The yellow part just clips onto the speaker terminals on the woofer itself, and then the wire terminals on the back of the cabinet itself. And it's as simple as that. It just goes straight through. Everything inside was just cleaned out. The foam that you see here is 1-inch thick foam, and it would be used in order to remove that yellow foam and redo the entire inside of the cabinet. And what I did is I removed the existing tweeter and mid-range from the Heresy cabinet and built new covers. And this was the purpose of doing this was to open up the interior of the cabinet to get more volume, more space in the cabinet, basically. So basically doubled the interior by doing this, and it really helped with the bass, as you'll see in the demos and in the end, with some astonishing results here. And this basically, by the time everything was said and done, clearly outperformed the Heresy 2 in every regard. I mean, the foam in here, getting that, opening up this cabinet and really being able to re-insulate the entire interior really helped with this, getting that bass achieved. And it wasn't even that. I was trying to get the higher frequency and more in the mid-range with that. So here's the new foam inside. As you can see, everything has been gutted out and removed. And we got, I don't know, almost a couple of cubic feet. We basically were originally working with about 1 cubic foot, and now we have doubled that roughly. Now, some say that the Klipsch K24 woofer, the stock woofer, can be used in a ported system, but you can see by the results in the previous video, part 2, that it was kind of flimsy and kind of flabby. The bass just wasn't tight and controlled and, really concise with that. So opening up this cabinet, I think, is really allowing this Beyma to breathe. And even with the test with my K24 on this setup, it didn't work well. It really was time to shift over and just go with the Beyma. And this Beyma gets really good praise. Now, I put this little piece of foam in here to also insulate that front side, back side of that interior of the cabinet before putting the covers on, which you can see here. And these covers just basically seal the cabinet, but, gives you all that volume, that interior volume that's occupied by the tweeter and the mid-range itself. So, and there's just the inside here to let you see the kind of the effort put into really insulating and trying to reduce any resonances in the cabinet. And compared to the Klipsch Heresy 4, I mean, this thing doesn't resonate like a Heresy 4 does. And by the way, this thing will easily, when the end result was all done, I mean, easily outperforms a Heresy 4. In every regard. I mean, there's nothing. It does everything and then some. This here is just the Klipsch crossover terminal wires. I just did some experiments with the woofer, the K24 versus the Beyma, and it really didn't work. And so, the K24 just didn't work in the cabinet this way anymore. So these are some specs here on the mid-range driver that is used, or the tweeter and the mid-range that is used in the Shinjitsu horn. It's called the horn 2+2, which you're going to see here shortly. And when Morris sends this thing over, man, it is just packed like a thing of beauty. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give Morris a 10. I mean, look at the attention to detail he does packing this thing to make sure it gets to me safely. Now, this is $1,400 paid for this setup. And it comes with 2 canvas bags, which I use to actually cover the tweeters now, the horns on top of the speaker. Beautifully packed. I mean, the attention to detail is astonishing, and this is the end result. And I'm going to put a link below for the new video that Morris did called The Lady in Red. And he basically used my my horns for that video, and then after he was done with the video, he sent them to me. I was very happy. The beautiful work that he puts into the crossover coils. Now, you got to remember, this horn handles, bypasses all the crossover. The Kreitz crossovers are gone. They're not inside the cabinet anymore. The crossover is now on top of the cabinet behind this horn. And this crossover is designed to get the horn to take all the frequencies from roughly 1300 hertz on up to whatever your ears can hear. And then the Beyma woofer handles everything below that, from 1300 hertz all the way down to something like 30. Now, when you hear the bass on this speaker, it is monstrous. It's very speedy, it's very fast, it's quick. And it's like the Forte now. It basically has the bass like the Forte, but with bigger upper mid-range. And when you compare the two speakers, you can hear it. It's audible. It does require a little bit of more driving, so the bass at moderate levels isn't as audible as what you get with the Forte. But if with a little bit of increased volume, it really delivers. And not only that, the speed, it's just the speed and the attack, the cleanliness, the clarity of the bass is just so much more defined. And this basically demolishes my Heresy 2 in every regard. The upper mid-range is opened up, the bottom end is faster, deeper. Man, it just pounds you in the chest, and it doesn't sound sloppy. It is tight, it is quick, it is controlled. And now when you use a ported speaker, get this speaker ported sounds faster than what the Heresy 2 does when the enclosure is sealed. That's how fast it is. That's the immediacy and the speed of the attack it delivers. That's saying a lot, because the Heresy 2 is a very fast speaker. It doesn't put out a lot of bass, in stock configuration, but it does have fast attack, but this delivers that. And with the ported design and the volume and the interior opened up, it just really allows the speaker to breathe and to open up in ways that I never expected. And I think you'll hear that in the demos at the end of this video. So now what we have here is a clip from one of Morris's videos at Shinjitsu Audio, and you can see this polyamide diaphragm is huge. It's like 45 millimeters, roughly almost 2 inches in diameter. Just by comparison, the one that's on the stock Klipsch Heresy that I have is like the one on the left, and basically 1 inch. So, it's just in my opinion, just a higher quality, nicer diaphragm. I'm not really sold on this whole titanium thing. I never have been. I've mentioned this in one of my videos about a couple of years ago. And yeah, the results are stunning, man. When you hear the upper mid-range and the top end on this speaker, it is unbelievable. Now, this next video is just a little bit of footage from one of Morris's videos where he actually used my horn for his own little, channel that he has, and I think it's great. And the upper mid-range and the stunning sound stages puts out is just astonishing. It's actually got a bigger upper mid-range than my Klipsch Forte does when you listen to it in real life, and it is just a remarkable piece of kit. And it's modular. You can just add it to anything, and just do the crossover the way you like. Okay, so just a couple of things that you guys are aware of. The woofer, when you put it in there, it just replaces the woofer. You don't have to do anything to the cabinet to make it work. It does fit in there. The only problem is that it protrudes outwards. So if I try to put the grill cover on, it doesn't fit on there the same way. It just sticks out. So that's not a big deal. One of the reasons I made all these different kinds of grill covers is for cosmetics and whatnot, but what was more important is just getting the sound and everything, making sure everything works first. And what I'm going to do is put a nice hardwood panel on the front of this thing, and I'm going to remove these screws and just recess them. That's all cosmetic stuff, so I can deal with that later, not a big deal. But the very important thing that you guys will want to know, and I didn't realize this until I started working on this project, is that the K24 woofer that was originally in here, it was designed to work with the way Klipsch designed the Heresy to be, and that it did its job for that, and that's fine. But for this particular application, it just doesn't work for it. And what happens is when I was shocked at how much mid-range came out of the woofer. This is something I never really realized and I just took for granted. You know, when people look at woofers, they just think about bass. And what they forget, and myself included, I forgot this too, is that an astonishing amount of sound actually comes up in the upper mid-range as well, you know, or the lower mid-range. And you can tell this by putting your ear, simply placing your ear right up to the center here. And this had literally double as much mid-range coming out of it as you could hear coming from the K24. And I believe that's because of the way this woofer is designed to handle higher frequency. And, you know, when you look at it, if you look at this diagram, you can see that most of the music is like 1,000 hertz on up to just a few thousand hertz. That's where most of the music is actually at. And, you know, I just took all this for granted. You know, we think about all this. All we think about is up here, the top. But we forget that a lot of the sound comes from the woofer too. And man, what the difference between the K24 and this woofer to the mid-range was astonishing. I mean, it just really blended it to, you know, match up with the horn itself. It's just really amazing how seamless the whole soundstage is with it. You're thinking to yourself, but this is a two-way system now. And what's happening in the mid-range? It's all there, man. Even more so. That's the astonishing thing. That's the irony of it all. So, all right, let's move on. All right, now I'm going to give you a close-up here. First off, the horn is made of alloy. This is metal, a metal horn here. So you don't have that cheap plastic, you know, horns that resonate. The thing here that's interesting is this coil. Look at how big that coil is. Beautifully made. The platform or plinth that you see is African Paduk. And you can see the components here that are used. Very nice quality and craftsmanship. And it's a modular system. I mean, you can attach it to a different speaker cabinet if you want. That's the beauty of it. You're not confined to just having the existing tweeter. You know, I got to bring this up to you guys, and I'll get back to the wire and how this is all connected. I don't even understand sometimes why companies bother making three-way systems. You know, it complicates the situation because you're going to have to add more components to the crossover system. And this just consolidates all that, and it gets a better performance than what you get with having a tweeter and a mid-range together. Yeah. Now, the way this connects is the wires here, the left or negative cable here, just connects directly in to the cabinet right here, to the speaker terminals, because that cable inside that I made just goes directly to this terminal and then up through here. That's it. There's nothing inside the cabinet. The Kreitz crossovers are no longer inside there. This is the crossover system. This clean, simple, no noise setup, you know, really nice. Really quiet floor noise when I'm all connected. And the speaker terminals here, all that just goes directly into the Dynaco ST70, just like that. Simple as that. And man, in case you're wondering, is it efficient? It is equally as efficient as the Heresy, if not more. There's nothing less efficient in the sound. You get all that nice efficiency you want, so you can drive the hell out of this with a, you know, an amplifier. This SC70 and the immediacy of the bass is just mind-blowing. Yeah, really shocking how good it is. Remember, tighter, quicker, and more concise. Now, as far as amps like, you know, Deckware, these 2-watt amps and whatnot, this driver, you know, I think it's a pro driver. It needs a little bit of oomph. I don't think those kinds of amplifiers are really going to be enough to drive this woofer enough to really feel that kick. This and the ST35 that I tested it out front, just, man, I'm telling you, it is more than enough. It just kicks with authority and chest-pounding bass, man. You'll see in the demos as we get you know, further in this video. So let's get on with that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be using the Dynaco ST35, which is 17 watts, and the Dynaco Pass 3 that Kenny Russell made. He made both these components really nice. the SMSL CD player I'll be using. Now I decided I'm going to do everything in the front room rather than the back room. And the reason is so you can see the sound stage that this thing projects. Both of these speakers project. And you will also see that the Dynaco easily, more than adequately, fills the room with a wall of sound, with these speakers. So, okay guys, so here's what we're going to do. I decided not to do any demos with the stock Heresy because it wasn't a fair comparison and there was just no point in it. And I felt that the Forte was needed to try and do a better match or even comparison, because this Heresy now just really completely outperforms the other one. I mean, let's face it, there's no point in doing it. But if I get enough requests and you guys really want it, I'll go ahead and do that for you. But I think that the Forte is really the way to go with this comparison. It's clearly a superior speaker to the Heresy. So something very important here. Think about this for just a second. Some of you may even prefer the Forte in the video, and opinions may vary. One of the problems I have with the Forte in the room is the way that it sits up is at ear level, roughly. And what happens here, and I mentioned this in a previous video, is I start to hear, even though you don't hear a whole lot of frequencies coming out of the tweeter compared to the mid-range or the squawker here, you still do hear some frequencies on some songs. And you start to hear the two individual drivers when you're sitting in such close proximity, and I don't like that. That is an advantage of this single horn that combines both those frequencies from both those drivers into one horn. And as a result, this speaker, the new one here, doesn't have that problem when I sit closer to it in the other room. It's remarkable. So that's one advantage. Now, some of you will say, well, if you like the Forte, why should I spend the money to build this Heresy with this horn? Because you can get a pair of Fortes for $1,000. In fact, I have a friend who's selling his. And, some of you may think that, but there's one huge advantage here. Don't forget, this horn can be coupled with various systems like open baffles, portable cabinets. As I stated, some of you may like the Forte, but don't forget, you can use this horn with a number of different cabinets, and that is something you just cannot do. I mean, when you're with this, you're stuck with that. I may even experiment and put this on the Forte and connect it with the Forte and see what happens. Because if it's this good with the Heresy, why not try, right? All right, enjoy the demos. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for getting into this. I appreciate all you guys who watch my videos. It makes it worth my time to do them for you. And happy listening to all of you.
I'll kiss your mouth and swallow you whole, and hold in my claim like an old 49er, wayward and skinny, for dust in the wind, from that holy water coming down out of our way. We're going for gold, but holding our claim just like old 49ers. Out of the city and into this room, from that holy water coming down on you and me. Water coming down. and skinny for dusting the moon from that holy water coming down. I'll kiss your mouth and swallow you whole. Been holding my claim like an old 49er, wayward and skinny for dusting the moon from that holy water coming down. Out of our way now, we're going for gold. Been holding our claim just like old 49ers. Out of the city and into this room from that holy water coming down on you and me. Water coming down. Lay me down. Tell me I've been found, 'cause I've been drinking from the flood. Wayward and skinny for dusting the moon from that holy water coming down. Holy water, holy water coming down. Cause I've been drinking from the flood. Always was, I don't just say